Welcome to Online Visibility Through Strategic Networking. I'm Lynnaire Johnston, a LinkedIn and AI branding strategist.
And my name is Sigrid de Kaste. I'm a global online networking and visibility strategist. And each week, the two of us explore what it actually takes for you, senior professionals, to become visible, recognized, and trusted online.
Today we're discussing how to be seen without posting daily. And if you've been wondering about alternatives to endlessly creating content, you're in exactly the right place.
Let's get into a discussion, Lynnaire. Posting every day. Do you do that?
I love posting on LinkedIn, Sigrid, so pretty much yes. I would say 4 to 5 times a week, but it's my happy place, and I am not entirely convinced that these days we need to be posting every day. And the reason I say that is because, as most people who are on LinkedIn will know, that organic reach has reduced to such a huge extent that it's no longer possible to be successful on LinkedIn simply by posting. Now, that used to be the case, but it's not anymore. And so now I think we need to be thinking about how else we can be seen and visible on LinkedIn without that huge overhead, if you like to describe it that way, of producing so much content. Look, I think a lot of different kinds of content still work really well. I think long form content does brilliantly, newsletters and so on, but also document posts. That's those carousels that we see a lot of. They're great formats, but they take time, Sigrid. And I don't think that these days people have as much time to put into creating content on a daily basis, even with the help of AI, which I imagine you find as well.
Totally agree with that, Lynnaire. And I think also this pressure that some people feel about having to post daily, that can really take away of any kind of a thinking, what am I going to put out there particularly? And I would imagine certainly people I'm speaking to, it is, yes, okay, I've got AI, I can get some help there to create this content, but it's also, should I then schedule it? How does that work? Is that a good way? Then I still need to be there and monitor it. Just that whole thing around posting every day can be so pressurized for people. And I would imagine the people that you're working with, the leadership, the leaders, professionals, that they just feel they don't have time even to create content, even with AI, for example. So for me, for example, I post or I put some content out twice a week. So I just stick to that routine twice a week. And then, of course, we do the networking twice a week. So the visibility in that way is there for me and the people that are following me and that are part of my community. Twice a week and twice a month with the networking. I find that that works really well for visibility. And of course, as you alluded to, the changes that these platforms, in particular LinkedIn, are making are just constant, aren't they?
They certainly are, and it's very hard to keep up, even as somebody who does this for a living. It's increasingly difficult to keep on top of everything, particularly now that AI is so embedded inside LinkedIn, which has made a huge difference to how the platform performs. But your point about networking is really valid when it comes to LinkedIn, because if we say that, in fact, reducing how much content we put out there is a good idea, which I believe it is, then how else are we going to get visible? Well, I think that one of the ways that we do that is by building a bigger network. We need to be connecting with the people who we want to get to know, who we want to learn from, who would be good additions to our network. And that way we become more visible across a wider variety of people, industries, and I would just think groups of people. And so whether you are on LinkedIn simply because you're looking for a new job, or you want to be seen as a thought leader, perhaps an expert in your field, or bringing in business, then being able to build a network of people who can help you do that, I think makes a great deal of sense. And you've come up with a particularly effective way of making that happen. And I think you should tell people about that, Sigrid.
Absolutely. Thanks for that lead in, Lynnaire, there. I find that LinkedIn is a great platform, and it does support us in many different ways. One of them is I use live streaming networking. So we go into the platform of Zoom first, and then we live stream into LinkedIn, which gives us the opportunity for LinkedIn to promote the event itself, and at the time through the feed again, through the notifications. And everyone who's in the room is going to be seen out there on LinkedIn for anyone to pick up and come in and join from the outside, as I call it, from the outside. It gives you this enormous opportunity of being spread across your network, my network, everyone else who's in the room at the time network. Plus, we can converse with those who are on the outside, as I said. So that is a really different opportunity for networking and being seen, not just to the people who are in the room with you, but to everyone else who is watching on the outside and even watching the replay later on. That's why I like that so much. It really increases the visibility. And when we talk about being seen without posting daily, that's one component. The other one, you think you just touched on that, communicating with those people that we are connected with as we expand our network. I think that's important as well. So in the networking, I always make sure to guide and invite the people there to connect with each other. Those that did register, those that are watching, those that registered and didn't attend, to all connect with each other, because we can so much spread our connections, our visibility that way. And it's a way of conversing with others without posting every single day, if that is not something we have time for, isn't it? So that's how I would look at it. And I think you can give us a bit more about conversing on LinkedIn with others, not just posting.
And what you say makes an awful lot of sense, because when you first reach out to someone on LinkedIn, you need to have a reason for that. I think these days the level of trust has dropped so dramatically that people want to know why you want to connect with them. And so just a cold message that indicates that somebody's reached out to connect with you isn't enough anymore. If you don't know the person, their name means nothing to you, you've never seen them interact on any of your posts, or you don't know whether they actually know any of the people you're mutually connected with, it's much harder to get a conversation going, or even get them to connect with you so you can have a conversation. So the idea of using the networking events that you run, Sigrid, as a basis for that communication is genius. And that's because when you do reach out to connect with someone, which I did just today, who was on one of your networking events that I didn't attend because I'm attending the ones at the other end of the day, then that gave me an opportunity to say, you and I were both on the events that Sigrid held this week. Would you like to connect? And all of a sudden, it places me for the person. It gives them that opportunity to go, yes, now I understand why this person is reaching out. And okay, she's mentioned Sigrid, so therefore there's a mutual connection who I know and I trust. I believe that this whole reputation building on LinkedIn is really important. So when you are reaching out to somebody, when you have somebody that you both know personally or are working with, then I think that that can be a really big, important step forward in getting people to accept your connection invite. Because, Sigrid, you don't want to be sending lots of invites to people who've never heard of you, don't know anything about you, because they will not say yes in this day and age. The people who are doing that are most likely the people who are trying to sell. And I don't know about you, Sigrid, but I don't want to be seen as somebody who is all I'm doing is connecting to somebody so that I can sell to them. That is just not the way I see LinkedIn working. I see it working more around relationship building.
Absolutely, Lynnaire. And I think you've just made a really good point there. When we are connecting with other people, or people are connecting with us, and then sending a direct message on LinkedIn, even in the initial connection, it does make so much sense to know, oh yes, this person knows me from here. And if you haven't met them, particularly on a networking event like we do, which is our focus and which you have wonderfully executed here, gone down that track wonderfully, to connect. We want to know something, a little bit about the other person or what their intention is, just to connect and then get straight away a message afterwards about, oh, I'm selling this and, this would be right for you. That is just not what we want to do. We want to create that relationship first. I totally agree. And I think you've tapped into something here, wanting to be seen. We all want to be seen. We want our content to be seen, but not writing or posting something every single day. That behind the scenes, that messaging is part of being connected and further connecting with people and creating trust and relationships, and how we handle those individual conversations typed. Or I think you pointed out to me recently, hey, you can also use audio messages. I love that. Tell me a bit more about that, Lynnaire.
Audio messages are one of the unsung heroes of communication on LinkedIn. And the reason that they aren't known about is because people don't use them very much. But it's very easy to send a 1 minute, no longer, message using your phone. So this appears in the app. There's a little microphone in the message box that allows you to record a message that goes instantly to the person at the other end. Now, what I like about these is that people will generally know who you are. This works best for people that you are connected to and you've had communication with before. It's not quite so effective for people who might be second-degree connections or don't know who you are. But if you're in communication with someone, it's such a quick and easy way to get a message to them. And I really like this idea. And you and I have been doing this a lot more together this week, because it's something that I don't use nearly as much either. But it's such a fast and easy way to do it, because you don't have to type the message. So 60 seconds. If you can't get a message out in 60 seconds, you'll need to do a text one. But generally, pretty much most things can be covered in 60 seconds. So that does run off the app. You cannot do a voice note from the desktop version, unfortunately.
That's right. And the thing is, we've got our phones in our hand most of the time anyway. And this is a really great opportunity to be seen without the posting, which means, or not seen, but heard, but seen in a way anyway, that if you haven't been in contact with someone for a while, just to say, hey, just thinking of you, I'm here, just wanted to say hello. That in itself is already great to receive a message like that, isn't it? And like you say, it doesn't even take 60 seconds to do that. It is something that you can do on the run. So if a professional or, somebody who's going to run from one important meeting or drive to one meeting to another one, they can do that on the go. Now, I'm not saying while they're driving, but, at some point getting there, or like you and I, mostly in front of the computer, we can still do that very quickly. And it is a way of being visible, totally being visible, and connecting and further connecting with the people. So think of posting every day is not the only way to think of in this little box of posting, but connecting, communicating. There are many different ways, and networking, of course, is one way, as I've just described before, which you have pointed out. It is very different to most other networking types. So there are loads of different ways of posting. If we use a different word there for posting, being visible is really what it is, isn't it, Lynnaire?
Absolutely. And we've only just touched the surface, Sigrid. So I'm looking forward to more conversations about these ideas that you and I, we just bat around, you and I personally, but to be able to share these with other people, I think is a great idea.
There is something new all the time, and the way everything works is we all want to be visible, whether you are a leader in a leadership role, whether you're in a professional role. We all are on LinkedIn as one of the main platforms to be connecting with each other, to be visible, and of course to supporting each other. So in all of our conversation in this particular segment today, which is about how to be seen without posting daily, and we've given you quite a few tips. Let me just run back a couple of them. So aside from just posting content itself, yes, you can certainly do as many times as you wish, but if you feel your time is short, you can also just, when you are connecting, putting already a really lovely note there. When you have been connected, instead of typing something, you can use audio versions, which you and I, Lynnaire, you've just shared, have been doing a bit more of recently. And of course, another really wonderfully powerful one is the networking. So the networking twice a month is already a great sequence of networking, and particularly in the way it's offered with the one that you've touched on that I offer, live streamed into LinkedIn. So there's quite a few tips there. What would you like to add for today, Lynnaire? Anything there?
No, I think that we've covered a lot here today, Sigrid, and let's leave lots more ideas till next time.
Absolutely. Thank you. So if the episode today, if what we have discussed here and the tips we've been given is something that resonates with you, do connect with us. It is available. We are available on LinkedIn. Send us a message if you can, would be really great. And we're going to have another episode next week. Lynnaire, do you want me to share what the title of that one is?
I think that's a very good idea, Sigrid.
So look forward to the episode next week, where we're going to discuss the networking strategy that builds global visibility fast. Until then.
If you found this useful, do share it with a colleague who might be navigating the same questions about visibility, because that's exactly the kind of networking that builds recognition. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.